Most people don't expect their college orientation to be the second time in life they cry in public. But for Dana Mitchell, standing under the archway of Red Maple University, it wasn't the tour guide's speech or the rows of shining new dorms that did her in, it was spotting her son Trey on the campus quad. Her 20-year-old, earbuds in, backpack slung low, walking across campus like he owned it. She hadn't planned to bump into him on her first day. She hadn't planned to go to college at all, not after 2 decades of working doubles, missing birthdays, and pretending her dreams didn't matter. But here she was. At 39. A freshman. And Trey hadn't known. It started with a layoff. The bakery she managed closed overnight, and the severance was barely enough to stretch a month. Dana stared at her reflection in the toaster oven that last morning and asked the question she'd been too scared to say out loud for years: what if I tried again? She applied online late one night while heating leftover spaghetti and watching a rerun of Family Feud. She didn't tell Trey. Didn't tell anyone, really. When the acceptance letter came, she tucked it into her drawer like it was too fragile to exist out loud. She moved quietly, applied for aid, found housing on campus reserved for non-traditional students, and bought second-hand books. It felt like building a new version of herself in secret. Now here she was, clutching her orientation folder, realizing she'd enrolled in the same communications program as her son. What were the odds? Mom? The voice hit her like a rock through glass. Trey was 3 feet away, looking at her like she was an alien. She smiled, too wide, and said, "Hey, baby. What are you doing here?" She tried to keep it casual, light. "I'm starting classes." "Here?" he asked, disbelief cracking his voice. "Like, at Red Maple?" Dana nodded. "I wanted it to be a surprise." "It is," he said, but not kindly. "Why didn't you say anything?" "I guess I wasn't ready for what you'd think," she said. He stared at her a second longer before shaking his head. "Whatever," he muttered and walked off, vanishing into the sea of students. Dana's hands shook as she looked down at her class schedule: Intro to Media Studies, room 104. She walked to the building, her breath shallow. When she entered the classroom, her stomach dropped. There was only one seat left. Right next to Trey. He looked up. She looked away. The professor, a cheery man with silver hair and thick glasses, smiled. "Let's do paired introductions. Sit tight, you'll be working with your partner all semester." Dana sat stiffly beside her son as he whispered, "This isn't happening." "It is," she whispered back. "And we're going to get through it." He didn't respond. After class, she tried to follow him, but he was already gone. She headed back to her dorm, a small studio tucked on the edge of campus, still smelling of paint. Her phone buzzed. No name. Just a number. She opened the message and felt the blood drain from her face. "Tell your son the truth before I do." M. Dana stared at the screen, heart pounding. There was only one person who could have sent that. And if he was back, everything could unravel. Not just her college plan, her entire life. The mysterious message threatens Dana's deepest secret. Who is M? What truth is she hiding from Trey? Dana didn't sleep that night. She lay in the narrow twin bed of her dorm room, staring at the popcorn ceiling, gripping her phone like it might deliver another message at any moment. But none came. Just the single line from M, the ghost of a past she thought had been buried under time and distance. "Tell your son the truth before I do." The words replayed like static behind her eyes. She knew exactly who had sent it. Marcus. The boy from her senior year, the secret she'd never spoken aloud, not to Trey, not to anyone in their family. Trey thought his father had walked out on them when he was 2, and Dana never corrected the story. It was easier to let him believe in abandonment than reveal the full story, especially since Marcus had vanished without a trace. Until now. Dana woke early and stumbled through her morning class, nodding and pretending to take notes while her mind spiraled. Trey hadn't texted since their awkward pairing yesterday, and she debated texting him first. But what would she even say? "Hey, sorry I ruined your sophomore year. Also, remember the man you hate? He's not actually your dad." Instead, she went to the communications building library and dug through the student directory. She searched for one name, Marcus Hall. No student matched. No staff either. She broadened her search. Nothing. But Red Maple had thousands of students. He could be here under another name. He could be faculty, staff, even someone connected to a student. The thought of him watching her, knowing where she was, what she was doing, chilled her. That night, she stood in the campus dining hall line, tray in hand. When she saw Trey again, he was across the room, laughing with friends, his body loose, comfortable, completely different from how he'd been with her. She almost turned around, but then he looked up and their eyes met. He gave a slight nod, polite but distant. She hesitated. Then, Heart racing, she walked toward him. "Hey," she said softly. "Mind if I sit?" His friends glanced between them. One of them, a girl with tight curls and sharp eyes, raised a brow. "This your mom?" Trey didn't answer. "Yeah," Dana said for him, forcing a smile. "We're in the same program. Crazy coincidence." "That's kind of cool," the girl said slowly, clearly unsure. Dana sat anyway. Trey kept his eyes on his tray. "Look, I'm sorry I didn't tell you," Dana said. "I thought maybe we'd laugh about it one day." "It's not funny," he replied flatly. "Everyone's talking. You're the mom in class. People think it's weird." Dana winced. "I know it's not what you expected, but I'm here for me. And you. I'm trying to build something better. For both of us." "I didn't ask you to," he snapped. The table went silent. The girl beside Trey shifted uncomfortably. Dana's smile faltered. She nodded, stood up, and took her tray elsewhere. She didn't cry until she got to her room. But that night, the second message came. "You should have told him everything, especially about the night before graduation." Dana's knees buckled, because that night was when everything changed. That was the night she lost her best friend. That was the night she made the choice that still haunted her every day. A buried past resurfaces, and the real secret Dana's hiding is darker than Trey could imagine. What happened the night before graduation? And why is Marcus back now? The words echoed in her mind like a drumbeat she couldn't silence, especially about the night before graduation. Dana hadn't spoken about that night in 20 years. Not to a therapist, not even to herself. She locked it in the kind of mental box you bury under enough guilt and dust that you start to believe it never really happened. But it did. And now someone, Marcus, was threatening to dig it up. She thought she had time. She thought starting over meant leaving that night behind. But ghosts don't care about your timelines. Dana sat frozen in her dorm, staring at the message on her phone until the screen dimmed. She opened her email, her socials. Every possible way Marcus might reach out next. But there was nothing. Not even a return number. Just the truth simmering under her ribs like a second heartbeat. That night, she and Marcus had gone to a party. One of those end-of-high-school blowouts where everything felt like the edge of something bigger. Trey's father, Devin, the man everyone believed was his dad, had broken up with her a week before. She was crushed, furious, desperate to feel something other than rejected. Marcus had been her lab partner. Kind funny, always on the outside of the popular circles. They bonded over their shared love of old movies and the fact that both of them had parents who didn't quite know what to do with them. That night, they drank too much, laughed too loud, slipped into a back room. One mistake. That's what Dana had told herself. Just one mistake. But 3 weeks later, she found out she was pregnant. She told Devin. He offered to do the right thing. Marry her. Support the baby. But they both knew it wasn't his. And when she told Marcus, he vanished. Never returned her messages. Never even showed up to the graduation ceremony. She never saw him again. Until now. She didn't even know if he knew Trey was his son. Maybe he figured it out now because she posted the red maple acceptance on her Facebook page. Maybe he was here, watching, waiting. That thought kept Dana up all night. By morning, she was running on caffeine and dread. At her first lecture, she spotted Trey sitting with the same girl from the dining hall, Jasmine. She thought she'd heard someone say. She tried to sit away from him, give him space, but the professor had different plans. All right, everyone. Time to check in with your semester partners. Let's talk campaign ethics. Dana moved reluctantly toward her son, who barely acknowledged her. They started working through the assignment in tense silence until Dana finally said, "I know this is hard, but I'm not trying to embarrass you, Trey." "Then why are you here?" he snapped. "You could have gone anywhere. Why my school?" "Because this was the only one that gave me a scholarship big enough to make it possible," she said quietly. "I didn't know you were even in this program until after I enrolled." "Whatever," he said. "People are talking. It's weird. My mom being in class with me?" Dana bit the inside of her cheek. "People talk, Trey. You know what matters? What you do after." That's rich, he muttered. Coming from someone who couldn't even be honest about why we've struggled all these years. What do you mean? I mean, maybe if you had a degree before now, we wouldn't have lived in a basement apartment half my childhood. His words hit like a slap. Dana nodded slowly. Maybe. Or maybe I was just doing my best. She stood up, grabbed her books, and walked out of class. The professor called after her, but she didn't stop. Not until she reached the empty quad and sat on a cold bench, heart pounding. Her phone buzzed again. This time, a picture. Dana's breath caught. It was a photo from that graduation night. Her. Marcus. His arm around her. Both of them laughing. The caption said, "What happens when Trey finds out he was never supposed to be born?" The secret of Trey's true parentage is on the brink of exposure, and now someone has photo proof. But what's Marcus really after, and how far is he willing to go? Dana stared at the photo, her stomach twisting. Her hand trembled as she zoomed in, hoping somehow that it wasn't real. But it was. That was her favorite jean jacket, the one she'd spilled grape soda on the week after prom. That was Marcus's faded St. Louis Cardinals cap, slightly crooked on his head like always. The photo was real. It had been taken that night at the party just before everything fell apart. But what made her skin crawl wasn't just the memory, it was the realization that someone else had been watching. Someone had a camera. Someone had kept that photo all these years. And now they were using it. Dana's mind raced. If Marcus had the photo, what else did he have? Old messages? Records? She racked her brain, trying to remember if she'd written anything down back then. Notes in her yearbook, journals, but nothing came to mind. Trey still hadn't texted her. She didn't blame him. In his eyes, she'd disrupted his life, crashed his world without warning. And maybe he wasn't wrong. But if Marcus went public with the truth, it wouldn't just ruin her relationship with Trey. It could ruin Trey's entire sense of self. She had to act. That afternoon, Dana skipped her seminar and went to the registrar's office. She asked to see the student directory in person. Claimed she needed to verify a tutoring schedule. The woman behind the desk handed her a tablet, and Dana scrolled page after page until her fingers cramped. Then she found it. Marcus Hall. Senior. Sociology major. Local student. Office assistant in the counseling center. Counseling. Of course. Of all the places he could have ended up. Dana rushed across campus, weaving through crowds of students, barely registering the warm breeze or distant laughter. At the counseling center, a student at the front desk greeted her. "Hi, how can I help you?" "I'm here to see Marcus Hall," Dana said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Is he in?" "He's in the back office." "Do you have an appointment?" "Tell him Dana Mitchell is here." The girl gave her a curious look but picked up the phone. After a moment, she nodded. "You can go on back. Down the hall, last door on the left." Dana's heart thudded against her ribs as she walked. She knocked once. The door opened. And there he was. Marcus. Older, sure. But the same hazel eyes, the same faint scar on his chin from a bike accident junior year. "Dana," he said softly. "Took you long enough?" "Why are you here?" she asked. "Why now?" "You enrolled in my son's college. That got my attention." "You've had 20 years, she shot back. "You left. I raised him. You don't get to show up now like you've earned anything." Marcus sighed and leaned against the desk. "You think I didn't want to? I was told you moved out of state. That you didn't want me involved. I believed it. But then I saw the announcement. You and Trey. Together. On campus. And I knew I had to know." "Know what?" "If he's mine." Dana clenched her fists. "And if he is? Then I want to meet him." "You had your chance," she said, voice rising. "He has a life. One you weren't part of. You don't get to waltz in now and play father." Marcus stepped closer. "Maybe I don't. But don't I have a right to know the truth?" Dana didn't answer. Her silence was enough. Marcus nodded slowly. "I'm not here to blow up your life, Dana. But he's my son. And I'm not going to disappear again. Not this time." Dana turned and walked out before she said something she couldn't take back. But just outside she saw Trey. Standing by the wall. Watching. His face pale. Eyes locked on her. Trey overheard everything. The lie is unraveling and the fallout is just beginning. What will he do now that he knows Dana isn't who she claimed to be? Trey didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His eyes said everything. Dana opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Not "I'm sorry," not "let me explain," not even his name. Just a breath that caught in her throat like glass. He turned and walked away. She followed. "Trey, please wait." But he didn't. He kept walking, cutting through the quad, backpack slung carelessly over one shoulder, like he didn't care where he was headed as long as it wasn't near her. She caught up near the steps of the dorms and grabbed his arm. Trey, you have to let me explain. He pulled back, harder than she expected. Explain what, Mom? That you've been lying to me my whole life. I didn't lie, she said too quickly. Then, softer, I protected you. He laughed once, short and bitter. Protected me from what? Knowing who my dad actually is? Dana looked around, students walking by, some slowing, listening. She lowered her voice. Not here. Please. Why not? Embarrassed now? Trey. I had a right to know, he said. All these years I thought Devin left us. I hated him. I defended you. I blamed him for everything. Devin agreed to raise you, she whispered. He knew the truth and still chose to be there. For a while, at least. And Marcus. It was one night. We were friends. It just happened. When I told him, he was gone. I never expected to see him again. But now he's here, Trey said. And you still weren't going to tell me. You were going to keep pretending. Dana didn't respond. Because he was right. She hadn't planned to say a word. Do you even know what that does to someone? To find out their whole origin story is a lie? Dana tried to step closer. I did what I thought was right at the time. For who? He snapped. For me or for you? She couldn't answer. He stared at her, something between betrayal and heartbreak flickering behind his eyes. Then he turned and walked into the building, the door shutting behind him with a dull finality. Dana stood there a long time. When her phone buzzed, she almost ignored it. But curiosity won. Another message from Marcus. I didn't know he was mine until now. I want to be part of his life. Whether you like it or not. She stared at it, jaw tightening. How dare he? He left. She raised Trey alone. She earned every inch of this life. No one was going to swoop in and rewrite her story. Not after everything she sacrificed. That night, she knocked on Trey's dorm door. No answer. She texted. Nothing. At 2 a.m. she sat outside the building, wrapped in a sweatshirt, watching the entrance like some kind of ghost. Around 4, a car pulled up. She recognized it instantly. Marcus. Trey got out of the passenger side. Laughing. Dana's heart sank. Marcus saw her and hesitated. Then smiled. Trey didn't even look her way. He walked past her, straight inside. Dana stood as Marcus approached. You went behind my back, she said. He came to me, Marcus replied. I didn't have to say much. He had questions. I answered them. That's all. You don't know him. Not yet. But I will. You don't get to just walk in now and what? Marcus asked, stepping closer. Parent him? Love him? Be present. Dana blinked, caught off guard. Marcus's tone softened. I'm not the villain here, Dana. Maybe I was back then. But I'm not running now. Dana looked up at the building, at the shadow of her son disappearing from her life. And for the first time since the semester began, she felt the sharp sting of something she hadn't prepared for. The feeling of being replaced. Trey is building a bond with the father he never knew, and Dana is being pushed out. But Marcus has his own secrets, and one of them is about to explode. Dana hadn't slept. Not even a minute. She lay awake on her dorm bed, staring at the ceiling fan as it spun its slow, uneven circles above her. Her phone lay on her chest, cold now, silent. It had been 3 days since Trey stopped answering. 3 days since she saw him laugh beside Marcus like he was finally seeing the version of his life he'd always been denied. The father he never knew. The one Dana had tried to erase. But she didn't erase him out of spite, she erased him to survive. And now the past was circling, hungry, waiting for the right moment to strike. She got up before sunrise and walked to the old student cafe. The place Marcus used to hang out when they were teens. Her gut told her he'd be there. And he was. Sitting alone in the corner, black coffee in hand, watching the sun rise through the fogged window. He didn't flinch when she slid into the booth across from him. You're early, he said. You're smug, she replied. You think this ends with you playing dad and me fading into the background? Marcus tilted his head. You're afraid of being forgotten. I get that. But this isn't about you. Or me. It's about him. No, Dana said slowly, voice cracking. This is about what happened after that night. Marcus raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Dana leaned in. Her throat tightened, but she forced the words out. You didn't just leave, Marcus. You were told to. My mother, she made you. Marcus froze. Your mom. Dana nodded. After I found out I was pregnant, I panicked. I told her everything. She went to your parents. Said you weren't welcome. Said if you tried to contact me again, there'd be consequences. She made it clear that I was going to raise this baby alone or not at all. Marcus's face went pale. Why would she do that? Because she thought you were beneath me. Not stable. Not good enough. She wanted me to be with Devin. He had a steady job lined up, a future. Dana looked away. And I let her. I didn't fight. I was scared and ashamed and 17. And when you didn't come back, I convinced myself you didn't care. Marcus sat back, stunned. I didn't know any of that. I looked for you, Dana. After graduation, I called your house. Your number was disconnected. Your Facebook was gone. My letters came back unopened. I know, Dana said softly. I saw them. She burned them in front of me. They sat in silence, time warping around them. Then Marcus said, I thought you hated me. I thought you didn't want me in his life. Dana looked at him. I didn't. Because I was angry. And scared. But mostly because I didn't want Trey to ever feel like someone gave up on him. So I made Devin the villain. It was easier that way. Marcus rubbed his eyes. He doesn't trust me yet, you know. He asks a lot of questions. Like what? Like why you kept him from me. Why you let him grow up thinking he was unwanted. Dana winced. And what did you say? That I was the one who was unwanted, Marcus said. That maybe we were both victims of the same lie. A long pause. Then Dana said, there's one more thing he doesn't know. Marcus looked up. What? Dana swallowed. The night after he was born, he stopped breathing. Marcus froze. What? Just for a moment. But it was enough to terrify me. They rushed him into NICU. Said it could have been from the stress I was under. From carrying all of this alone. Marcus's hands curled into fists. Why are you telling me this now? Dana looked him dead in the eye. Because you don't get to act like you're the only one who lost something. I've held him through asthma attacks. I've worked 3 jobs to buy him a used laptop. I've skipped meals to make rent. You're his father, but I'm his everything. Marcus stared at her, anger, guilt, sorrow all swirling in his eyes. Then he stood. You're right. But that's exactly why we need to do this right. Dana rose too. What does that mean? It means I want to tell him the truth. With you. Not as enemies. As parents. Dana blinked. He won't forgive us. Maybe not, Marcus said. But he deserves the truth. All of it. That afternoon, they texted Trey to meet them at the library. He agreed reluctantly. When he arrived, he looked between them, guarded. This better not be some weird intervention, he muttered. It's not, Dana said. It's the truth. And then they told him everything. Every buried secret. Every lie told in love. Every scar disguised as strength. And when they finished, Trey didn't yell. He didn't storm out. He sat there, eyes rimmed red, whispering, I don't even know who I am anymore. Dana reached for his hand. You're mine. That's never changed. And then he looked at Marcus. I don't know you. But I guess it's time I start. The truth has shattered everything, but in its place, something new begins, fragile, messy, and real. A son, a mother, a father. A second chance.